Let's go back in time. Picture a quiet room in ancient Galilee. But something's different here. There are no candles, no oil lamps. Instead, the room is filled with a light that seems to be coming from within, a kind of sacred living fire that's humming with an energy that is absolutely not of this world. And right in the middle of it all sits the great sage Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai. He knows his time here is almost up, and so he's gathered his most trusted disciples for one last teaching, a final incredible revelation about the very nature of reality itself.
So today, we're going to step into that room with them. This is the story of the Idra Zuta, the Lesser Holy Assembly. And here's our roadmap for the journey. First, we'll see the Holy Assembly gather. Then, we're diving deep into the Ancient of Days. Think of it as the ultimate source code of reality. From there, we'll map out the blueprint of mercy, see how it shows up as the lesser countenance. Then we'll unpack the cosmic creative process of Father, Mother, and Son. And finally, we'll witness the incredible moment the soul ascends. This isn't just a history lesson, you know. This is a live transmission.
So Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, or Rashbi, as everyone calls him, he can feel his life force is fading. But here's the thing. This isn't a moment of sadness for him. No, he calls it a time of favor. He summons his inner circle, his most brilliant students, and as they walk in, the whole house just fills with this sacred fire, sealing them off, creating this holy space completely separate from the outside world. You can just imagine the energy in there, the anticipation. They know they're about to hear something that's been held back, until now.
And then he speaks, and his words just carry the weight of an entire lifetime spent staring into the heart of the divine. He says, "This is a time of favor. I wish to enter the world to come without shame." Just think about the gravity of that. He's not just wrapping things up. He's about to download the ultimate secrets he's been guarding his whole life to make sure his exit from this world is perfect. This is his final, most profound gift.
And who's in the room to receive this gift? Well, it's the A-team. Only the most worthy. You've got his son, Rabbi Elazar, who's going to carry on the legacy. You have Rabbi Abba, who he specifically appoints as the scribe. His job is to write down what seems impossible to write. And then the rest of the inner circle. Rabbi Yudah, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Chaya, and Rabbi Yitzhak. Just 7 of them, chosen for this moment. Rabbi Shimon even arranges them himself, with Rabbi Abba ready to write and Rabbi Elazar right there with him, to learn and to transmit, while the others are told to just absorb these words into their very souls. All right, so the stage is set, everyone's in place, and Rabbi Shimon begins. But he doesn't start with rules or stories, no. He goes straight to the top, to the highest, most hidden layer of reality imaginable, a level of the divine so primary it's beyond any description we have, a source code that's never been openly revealed before. He's about to describe the absolute root of everything.
Okay, so let's get into this. What Rashbi is laying out here is basically the system's root architecture. This idea of Atika Kadisha, the ancient holy one. Think of it as the unchangeable BIOS on a computer, or maybe the genesis block of a blockchain. It's the deepest, most fundamental layer of the firmware installed before any operating system, and it runs on one single non-negotiable principle: infinite grace, pure, undifferentiated compassion. It's the ultimate mystery, totally concealed, and yet it's the anchor point for everything else. So the first thing Rashbi reveals is this vision. He describes the Golgotha Chivra, which means the white head. And he describes it as a skull of such blindingly pure whiteness, it represents a kind of consciousness that has no beginning and no end. It's the container for a type of wisdom so deep, so hidden, that it's literally called unknowable. Now, this isn't some physical image, right? It's a metaphysical blueprint for the very concept of a thought that's beyond time and space. So what does this white head actually do? Well, from it, a kind of life-giving dew is constantly flowing down. The Zohar explains that this dew is the source of all nourishment. It flows down, it fills the head of the lower divine systems, and it sustains all the worlds. This is the raw energy of life itself, the divine bounty. And we're told this is the very same force, this same dew, that will one day resurrect the dead. It's this constant, gentle, life-sustaining flow from the absolute highest source. Okay, so if the source is pure, infinite compassion, how does that compassion make its way into a world like ours? A world that obviously has rules and judgment and consequences. Well, now Rashbi reveals the interface, the specific channels that this unending grace flows through to get into the system of reality. And the number is 13. The whole mechanism is described through this incredibly powerful and complex metaphor, the divine beard, the Atika Kadisha. Now, of course, this isn't a literal beard, it's a mystical structure,
made up of 13 holy curls or pathways. And each of these 13 paths is a specific attribute of mercy, a unique channel that takes the infinite grace from Atika Kadisha and measures it, defines it, and prepares it to be sent down into creation.
And these 13 attributes, they're not just some poetic ideas. They are, for all intents and purposes, hard-coded grace protocols in the kernel of reality itself. Think of them as fail-safes. You've got protocols for core system power, for preventing systemic overheating, for graceful error handling when things go wrong. And that 13th attribute, and who cleanses, that's basically a system-wide memory wipe or a cache clear. These protocols can actually override any of the strict judgment functions in the operating system, making sure that the whole system can never permanently crash because of user error. They are the ultimate safety net.
So we've seen the hidden source code, right? That's Atika Kadisha. Now, Rashbi shifts gears and starts talking about the part of the divine that we can actually interact with, the part that directly governs our world. This is the revealed face, the OS of our reality. And it's called Zir Anpin. It literally means the lesser countenance, or sometimes the impatient one. So if Atika Kadisha is the unchangeable BIOS, then Zir Anpin is the active operating system. It's the Windows or Mac OS of creation. It's built from the 6 emotional attributes, everything from chesed, loving kindness, all the way down to yesod, foundation. This is the user interface that runs the world, and its job is to constantly balance these different protocols of mercy and judgment.
And this comparison here really gets to the heart of it. You've got these 2 distinct layers in the system. The source code, Atika Kadisha, is pure grace. It's infinitely patient. We refer to it as He, something concealed and transcendent. But the OS, Zeir Anpin, it has to manage a live environment, right? So it has to balance rules and mercy. It's impatient because it has to react. It has to enforce cause and effect. This is the revealed aspect. The one we can talk to is you. It's really the difference between the perfect, static blueprint and the dynamic, running building.
Okay, so now we get to go into the engine room. How is reality actually made? How is it sustained from one moment to the next? Rabbi Shimon explains that it's all happening through this constant, dynamic interplay of the main divine intelligences, which he describes using the metaphor of Father, Mother, and Son.
So let's look at the core processing. First you have Abba, the Father. This corresponds to Chokmah, or wisdom, and it's like the initial flash of an idea. Just a single point of raw potential. Think of it like a CPU having an instantaneous spark, but that spark is basically useless until Imma, the mother, who represents Bina, or understanding, gets a hold of it. Imma is like the GPU and the RAM. She takes that tiny spark of wisdom and expands it, gives it shape and detail, and turns it into a fully rendered, structured blueprint for reality.
And so this flow is happening all the time. It starts as a spark, just a single point of potential in Abba. Then that spark is received and developed into a whole detailed plan by Imma. And finally, that plan is executed and made manifest in our world by the Son, the Ben, which is just another name for Zeir Anpin, that operating system we were just talking about. And the crucial thing here is that this isn't a one-and-done event from the beginning of time. This process is happening constantly, creating and recreating the universe in every single moment.
And this brings us to the whole point of this unbelievably complex revelation. The reason Rabbi Shimon is drawing this intricate map is not to show us a bunch of separate forces or gods. It's to prove that it is all one unified system. From the most hidden part, Atika Kadisha, through Abba and Imma, all the way down to Zeir Anpin and its feminine counterpart, Nukva, or the Shekhinah. It's all a single, interconnected, and totally indivisible divine reality.
So as Rabbi Shimon reaches this summit, this final, powerful declaration of unity, the energy in the room just hits its absolute peak. He's laid out the entire architecture of existence, from the deepest root to the furthest branch. His job is done. And now, the story shifts, from the cosmic and the abstract to the deeply personal, to the final sacred moments of Rabbi Shimon's life.
So what happens? What happens when a soul has not only understood but has completely become one with the ultimate truth of unity? When there's no more separation between the person who knows and the thing that is known? Rabbi Shimon has finished his final transmission. The secrets he held so closely in his heart, they're finally out in the world.
He gathers whatever strength he has left and makes his final declaration. This is the core takeaway of his entire life's work. He says, "All that I have said of the Ancient Holy One and all that I have said of the Lesser Countenance is all one. There is no separation in him. He and his name are one." I mean, that's the ultimate synthesis right there. The source code and the operating system, the hidden and the revealed, it's all a single unified reality.
And with that, he stopped.
Rabbi Abba, the scribe, he writes that the holy luminary, the great light of Israel, just ceased speaking. He smiled, a smile of total peace and completion. And in that exact moment, his soul departed, not in a struggle, but in a state of pure devakut, of just cleaving to the divine. The Zohar actually calls it a divine kiss, a peaceful, loving reunion with the source. And as his soul went up, that sacred fire that had filled the room, it just gently withdrew, leaving his disciples there in complete awe, holding the blueprint of heaven in their hands.
He is one, and his name is one. Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.